Awesome. So welcome to today's coaching session. So today's coaching session will be conducted by Samuel, right? It's going to start very, very soon. Okay, now, so a quick background about Samuel. Samuel is the marketer who has been marketing a lot of my events. We have been doing a lot of private events together. I think in the last 2 months, how long did we start marketing? In the last 2 months, we've done over $55,000, $60,000 in sales. Okay, and so I do a lot of private events with Samuel, and I remember the first time I transferred him his commissions, right, for the first 3 events that he did. How much do you think he made in his first 3 events in commissions? Sorry?
8,000.
Yeah, $8,500. Okay, let's give Samuel a round of applause. How many of you agree making $8,500 from marketing 3 events is pretty good money? Pretty good money, right? And the best part, right, was that he didn't even show up for the event. So until today, Samuel has never been for any of my previews before. Okay, Samuel has never been for any of my previews before. Everything he just does from his mobile phone and laptop, running traffic from home, sending reminders from home, asking Faye to organize liars events and everything, without even having to show up at the event, he has been consistently making quite good money. All right. So okay, now, so I did a lot of private events with him, and we have done events with 50 show-ups, 20 show-ups, consistently 20, 30, 40, 50 show-ups. Okay. And on average, every single event that we do, we get about $3,000 up to about $15,000 in sales. Okay. So so today I say, okay, Samuel, can you finally show yourself, and can you finally come and reveal who you are, so that all the people, most of you, are actually Samuel's leads, okay? So most of you, the event that you went for is most likely marketed by Samuel, just that you don't even know that he was there, alright? And so Samuel's getting very, very good cost per lead, so I wanted him to share his strategies, okay? Now, if you watch the Facebook course, you'll know that I explained to you how to market events using Facebook ads, and the way I do it is through lead forms, okay? Now, here's the thing, okay, everyone write this down. There are many ways to get from point A to point B. Everyone write this down? There are many ways to get from point A to point B. And there are also many ways to skin a cat, okay? And then write this down. If you want to master something, okay, sorry, write this down. If you want to learn something fast, you must find one system and duplicate it, okay? If you want to learn something fast, you find one proven successful system and duplicate it. If you want to master something, you need to look at multiple proven systems, like 10 different proven systems, look at what's the similarity between the system, and then duplicate it. Does that make sense? So whatever Samuel's going to share with you today, right, is going to be very, very different from how I normally market events. Okay, for me, when I market events, I do a very direct approach. I tell you this is the event, just sign up. Click the lead form, sign up, okay? And I'm still consistently getting leads at about $8 to about $15 per lead, alright? Now, Samuel has his own methodology of marketing events where he brings people to an Eventbrite page, but he uses pixel and everything to retarget them and everything. And he writes copy to bring them to the Eventbrite page to register. Okay, his cost per lead is also around the same as mine, about $8 to $15. Okay, now, so here's the thing. Okay, as much as okay, for me, I always believe that if you want to learn something, you should just duplicate one system. Okay, but at the same time, I want to offer you all fresh perspective so that I won't be the only lead. You get? I won't be. Okay, write this down. There's this. If you read the book by John C. Maxwell on laws of leadership. Okay, 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. Law number 1 is the law of the lead, which means the leader will always be the lead of the organization. So if I'm the lead, if let's say you can only reach this level, then you can never surpass that level, right? So I want to offer you a different perspective so that one day all of you can surpass me. Make sense? You can make more money than me, you can get leads cheaper than me, you can do Facebook ads more effectively than me. That's when I know I've really succeeded as a coach. Does that make sense? Right? Most coaches say, oh, I want you to be below me. No. I want all of you to be better than me. My job is to bring out the best in you. Okay? So today I've invited Samuel, right? It's not easy to take his busy time to share and to finally reveal his face, finally show you who he actually is. And I'm sure a lot of you will be very, very keen to know his proven systems. Will you agree?
Yes.
Alright? So how many of you are excited to hear what Samuel has to share? Raise your hand. Alright? Okay, let's give him a huge, huge round of applause. Yeah?
Introduction. So my name is Samuel, and before I begin, just to give you a very quick introduction of myself, and these are some of the interesting facts about me. So the first thing is that this only happened recently. So this is one of the ads that I've been running, and basically just about 2 weeks ago, I actually officially dropped out of NUS to do what I'm doing full time. So before that, I was a student in NUS, and just a bit of background, I was a business student for like 6 years, because I went to, for 4 years, because I went to 2 years in Polytechnic, and then I went to NUS. But after I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore, so I came out and do like real business. So this is one thing. And the other one was that this was actually me when I was 18 years old, about 4 years back. So I lost quite a bit of weight, and that was kind of the turning point of my life. So after that, that was when I got a lot more into personal development and really learning how to basically make money and run Facebook ads and do online marketing. So some facts about me: I actually run the event marketing business is actually just one portion of my income. Actually, I just did that about 3 months ago with Alaric. Like way before that, I'm already running a lead gen agency. So I get leads. I run Facebook ads to get leads for financial advisors, for business owners. That's my main stream of income. And on top of that, I do a little bit of coaching and consulting when the need arises. And of course, lastly is the events marketing, which that's what we'll be talking about today. So just a quick overview of the results that we have gotten with Alaric so far with his events. We have did it for about 2.5 months. From the first event was, I believe, January, like mid-January, and now it's about mid-March, so about 2.5 months. And we generate about 20 to 50 leads per event. So somebody will click and they will actually register on Eventbrite and they will actually show up. So per event is about 20 show-ups to 50 show-ups. And we have generated about 30 to 50 new students for Alaric within this period of 2.5 months. It's about 55,000 gross sales, meaning the amount that the students actually pay. And of that, the gross commission paid out to me as a lead generator is about 30 to 40% of that. Of course, 10% goes to the event organizer, so the 40% goes to me. And yeah, the fun fact was I wasn't present at any of this event.
Let's give that a round of applause. The fact, yeah, this is
so we did about, I think, 12 events. Like I know how Alaric events go, I know the flow and everything, but basically I wasn't present because my event organizer, which in most cases was Faye, she's there.
Let's give Faye a round of applause. Faye, maybe we can start.
So I'm going to show you how you can market an event without actually being present, but of course you can have a good understanding of what's going to happen, but you don't actually have to be present. So for those of you who are not too familiar with how events marketing works, let me just give a quick overview. So basically what happens is that with events marketing, you will first need a speaker. And this speaker is basically somebody who can get up on the stage and just speak. And after 3 hours, this speaker is able to convert some portion of the people who are listening to actually buy something. So to simplify, a speaker is somebody who speaks from a platform, and then after 3 hours, there will be some people buying his course or whatever program that this speaker has. So that's the first portion. And then there will be an event organizer, which is a person who books the venue, gets the chair in place, and gets all the sound system in place, and then make sure the event is there. The venue is there. And the last one, the lead generator, which in this case is me. So I'm responsible for running ads and bringing people through a process to actually get them to show up. And once they have showed up, it's over to the speaker to actually pitch whatever he or she has over 3 hours. At the end of 3 hours, the speaker will make an offering, and then there will be some sales that is made, and then we'll split it according to these different percentages. So in my case, for this past 12 events, Alaric was the main speaker, Faye was the event organizer, and I was the lead generator. And so this is the typical process. Let's say you generate 100 leads, about...
You might want to write these numbers down. These metrics are very important, especially if you're doing events.
30 to 40% will show up in the preview. Of course, this is a pretty healthy percentage. Usually it can be lesser, but typically if they are interested, which means they've already signed up, it's about 30 to 40% will show up. About 5 to 10% would buy. 100 people would actually click that they want to go for the event. 30 faces would appear, and of that maybe 5 would buy it, and this 5 would pay the money to buy the course, and the sales is actually generated. So the lead generator basically gets a cut of the sale without even having to be present. Of course, this is the assumption that the speaker can do the closing, which in this case the speaker was able to. So the first step is, of course, there's only 2 steps, but the first step is getting the traffic. So there are free methods and there are paid methods. For me, throughout my entire career, I don't do any organic methods, meaning I don't text people manually or like even for the upload method, which is a great method, but I don't do any of the organic methods. So my approach is to run traffic to completely cold audience and get them to churn out in something. So I don't depend on any kind of human effort at all. So sometimes when I do it as a bonus, but I don't depend on that. I mainly run ads to get cold traffic to convert in the way I need them to convert. So you can post on WhatsApp group, you can post on Facebook groups, but of course recently it's a little bit saturated because everybody's been posting and it's just like so much information. So that's a little bit saturated, and you can get people to attend, meaning it's more like people pull people. So you get your friends to attend or get your people you know to attend because it will be good for them, which is also possible. But the last method, which is much more scalable, is actually the paid method, which is basically running Facebook ads. So this is more of the theoretical side of things. But the next thing I want to show you is a live demo on how I usually get my lead and how does a lead go from actually looking at a Facebook ad to actually showing up at an event. So I'm just going to, the wire is a bit short, so I'm going to be around here, but I will just take you through the process. So what we're going to do is for the first hour, I'll be sharing with you my process, and for the next hour, because my content is pretty short, for the next hour, if you have any questions, you can just write down on your notes first. We can discuss that in the next hour. But for now, let me just take you through my process. Okay, so some of you may have seen the ads before. Just bear with me as I now walk you through the back end. So you would see this on the front end, usually it's on your phone. So you'll be on the MRT or in your car or you're traveling and then you see an ad. But this is the back end on how we actually get people to engage and sign up. So you can see this is my page. I've tried two methods. The first one is running ads from my page, which is basically my name on it. The second one is running ads from a separate page. Can be like something like Marketing Mastery SG, like a dummy page. But what I've realized was that when you can put a face to the event, right, it always turns, the show rate always goes higher. Like. So as much as possible, try to market using either your page or even if you use a third-party page, make sure that the event itself, right, put a face on it instead of like. So instead of this image, maybe you can make a guess. This image, right, which shows like a workshop and there's like a title, versus this image, which is just my face. How many of you think that this image converts better? It's the same copy, but you can just have a raise of hand. How many of you think that this image converts better? How many of you think that this image converts better?
So wow.
Yeah. that aside, it's nothing to do with that, but this image typically convert better. So when you promote an event, right, or anything at all, if it's possible and if it's relevant, try to find an image whereby you kind of pop up and the person, right, which in this case is me, you're going to be at least about 70% of the picture. Which means try not to have you too far in the background and try to have as big as possible. Basically, a human should feel about 70%. So I've tested before with this image, and this one converts much better, especially when you use a landing page, which I'm going to show you later on. But essentially, these are different copies that I've been using. So let me just walk you through them and explain to you why it works. So this is the first copy that I've been using. You can just take a quick look, quick read. So how I do it is that I base it on a storyline, because myself, I run Facebook ads, so I am a Facebook marketer, and I'm promoting a Facebook marketing course. So although I wasn't at the preview, but I understand the process very, very well, and because I've worked with Alaric before, I know how he coaches, and I just try and take that and basically put it over here. So this is the copy that I use, and so Facebook marketing is literally the 8th wonder of the world, and I just describe the event a little bit. You can see that over here, I don't really describe the event, because for my method, I am just depending on this copy to bring the consumer to the landing page. The landing page is my Eventbrite. So when the consumer reaches my Eventbrite will do the rest of the job by convincing them. Let me just show you a quick example. This is how my Eventbrite page looks like. So it's like that. And later I'll come back to this. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when I'm running this ad, right, my mindset is not how can I get someone to sign up for an event. My only mindset and my only goal for running this ad is how can I get people to click on this so they'll be brought to my landing page. One mistake that many marketers make is that when they try to run an ad, they're thinking, how can I run an ad to sell something? How can I run an ad to get people to show up? How can I run an ad to basically get money from people? When the question, when it shouldn't be that, it should, how can I run an ad to get people to this page? Sorry, to this page. So once that is my mindset, right, it's very clear to me. The only thing I'm going to write here is just going to be enough to bring people to that Eventbrite page. And once they've reached Eventbrite, the rest of the funnel will go on from there. So this particular copy basically I just described how I got started, and in a couple more days, my team is holding a 3-hour masterclass. So I brand the whole event is that basically because I work with Alaric, so I brand it under a training team whereby I'm actually the face of the ad, but I explain that my team is one conducting it. So when I say my team, it could be Alaric, it could be Ozan, or whoever is speaking. So they are conducting it, but I put a face to the ad, so they can actually know that who is behind this thing. One thing that people do is sometimes when they promote an event that's not theirs, they use a third-party page. So they use a third-party page, plus they use a third-party image. So it's very vague. So when I sign up for the event, I'm not sure what I'm signing up for. It's a third-party page, it's a third-party image like this. I don't know whose event it is. So that's something that creates confusion in the mind of the consumer. And when the consumer is, because the consumer is very fickle-minded, the moment they're confused, they're going to just scroll by and they're not going to sign up. So if you can put a face to it, it will be good. And this is one of the copy. The other one that I've did is this. So this one is what I call a long copy. So it's slightly longer. You can see this one is pretty short. You can read it all here. But the main difference between this copy, and copy basically means the words. The main difference between this copy and this copy is that this one is to engage people who like to read more. Because I noticed that on Facebook, there are just two kinds of consumers. Some people, they read much lesser and they just opt in. While some people, if you use the short copy, right, it's very hard to engage them. Because before I take the risk of going into this landing page to waste like 2 seconds, I want to make sure that it's worthwhile. So those people, they'll be more captivated by long copy. And in this copy, the main focus is, okay, for different events, there are different focus, but for Alan's event, right, this is one of the main things that I've realized is pretty interesting, which is what I will always put in any copy. So in any copy, I will always mention that this training is for two kinds of people, which is what Eric always says. It's for people who have something in the market, and it's for people who have nothing in the market. Because if you don't mention this, right, one of the very common objections that consumers would have is, what if I go and it's not really for me, or what if I don't have anything in the market, or what if what they're teaching is only suitable for people who have nothing in the market. So when you put this, right, it removes that mental deliberation from the consumer, and it makes it more likely for them to actually click. Meaning when you craft your copy, you always want to be thinking what other objections could a consumer have, and you want to address that so that it lets them want to go and click. And the other thing that I'm super heavy on that I would always mention is this. When it comes to 3-hour masterclass, right, there's always an elephant in the room. People are thinking, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get pitched, and I'm going to buy something, which is the case. But when they're promoting a free masterclass online, right, because I know Alaric personally, so I know that at his masterclass, he does give value, and at the end of it, he'll make an offering to see whoever is interested. Which means in my ad copy, I always want to address the elephant in the room. Which means instead of trying to just bluff my consumer to go to the event and have them thinking about things in their mind, because if you don't make it clear to the consumer, they will always imagine the worst. So I make it clear to them that this is not another salesy, teasy preview. This is an actual training with proven strategy that you can implement during the training itself. So if you look at all my copyright, I will always mention this because I want them to know that when you invest 3 hours, and it's a very big deal to me for somebody to go down to an event and invest 3 hours, when you go there, it is an actual training with proven strategies that you can implement during the training itself without paying us a single cent. So once I have this right, it addresses most of their concern, especially for people who are interested. Would there still be 1 or 2 people who are like, oh, I know this guy is just marketing, just saying all these things, you know, but that is fine because that is not my target audience. But I know that when I say this, right, it solves a very crucial objection for a bulk of my target audience. Because when I'm marketing a preview, the biggest issue people will have is they will think that you're trying to sell them something. Because most people, by virtue, they don't have a very good feeling about sales. So you need to address this and just make them aware of the fact that basically when they go for this training, it's an actual training, which it is. It's not just going to be like preview, it's an actual training. And the only catch is slots are highly limited, and once it's gone, it's gone. And once they have entered this copy, okay, before I move on to the Eventbrite page, one thing is that you can see over here, usually if you run a lead ad, there would be like a learn more button over here. But this is a traffic ad, which means I link people to the page. So over here, I have more virtual real estate. Basically, virtual real estate means I can put more words over here. Because if there's learn more, then I can't put in so many words. So that's one good tip. If you're running a traffic, meaning when somebody clicks, they go to a page, they're not going on Facebook, it's not a lead form, try not to put any button. Just put it this way. So you got more virtual real estate, which is a pretty big deal. So you can put in more things. For example, if I don't have this right, then there'll be a learn more. Then if there's a learn more, I can't put this 20 slots only. And yeah, and by the way, I always do this, it's like a scarcity technique. And you may be like, you may think like, you know, why would you do this even though it's not 20 slots only, it's very lame, and you know. But it works like. Just because you are sick of it doesn't mean it doesn't work. You can remember this. Like I learned this from one marketer. Just because you are sick and tired of it, it will still work. Because it's just human psychology. It's like if you watch a movie and then it's a sad movie and then it's like crying. But like, you know it's fake. Because it's a movie, like you pay for tickets, you got a popcorn, like it's a movie, but it's still crying. So I just always use scarcity to get people to want to take the action right now. So once they take an action, so far can follow? Or am I speaking a little bit fast? I have the habit of speaking a bit fast, so if you cannot follow, just let me know. But once they click on that image, right, they will be moved on to this page, which is basically called a landing page. Now, there are many event organizers out there who have like very powerful landing pages, built by lead pages, and it's very nice. But from my experience, you don't have to have that. Like Eventbrite itself is a pretty good platform to promote events, and it makes it a lot simpler because it's more credible and everything. If you craft a third-party landing page, it's a lot more complicated because they have a lot of different things in place. And if you craft a third-party landing page, now you're competing against those people who have a good third-party landing page. So for me, right, I always use Eventbrite because I don't want to compete in that space whereby I don't want to compete on landing pages. I want to use Eventbrite. So when I'm on Eventbrite, right, I just compete within this particular platform. And how I do that is that over here at Eventbrite, I will have the full copy of the event. And the biggest difference between how I do it and how most people do it is that when I craft the copy for the event, right, how many of you have seen like this copy before? Just to show of hands. Anybody seen this before? Okay, so when I craft this, right, what happens is if you read it, you would know that when I craft this copy, I begin from the audience in mind. Most people, they take an event, so they're like, hey, in this event, these different things are happening. How can I take this thing and go and appeal to my audience? Which is very difficult. When I'm crafting this copy, I don't care about what's happening in the event. It can be the shittiest event ever, but I don't want to begin from there. I want to ask myself, what does my audience want to hear? And once I begin from there, everything that I put inside is beginning from the perspective of what does my audience want to hear. So I craft the copy from there, and you can see at the first point, it's of course how to generate this 5 figures. So we're targeting, this first point is for business owners, people who already have a business, like salespeople. This one is for people who have no business, and this one is just for running ads, and the one paradigm shift we have to make, how to get past the age barrier, and the 3 secrets of Facebook marketing. And basically when I craft this, right, it's just really going from a perspective of asking myself what my audience wants to hear on this topic. And after I've crafted this, I will then look at this copy, which is as sexy as it can be. I'll look at the actual event, and I will see whether it's congruent. Because while there's some hype, but it can't be like too far off. Like, I can't advertise so much, but at the event that's like only this little. But what you can do is advertise this much, and then you look at your event, like, is it congruent? If it's not, then yes, I may take some things out, which I have, because over here it used to be a bit more hypey, so I take some things out. But you're going to begin with the audience in mind and not the event in mind. Because let's face it, when it comes to the event and learning, right, it's always not as exciting as it can be, but when you begin from the audience in mind, you can craft the copy to be as exciting as possible. Then you look at the event and you take certain things out if you need to. And you gotta remember one thing is that when consumers are online, right, especially with today's information, people will always have this mindset of consumer discount. Consumer discount means that when I see something online, I subconsciously discount it. It means if you put that, I know that that's not a full truth. I would think that it's only 70%. So once you have this in mind, right, it is okay for your marketing to promise a little bit more because the consumers will discount it either consciously or subconsciously, and they will end up here. So most people are so afraid of over-promising that they draw the line way too near, and they don't give enough of a reason why people should show up. And they go with the mindset that, oh, just because they are interested, they will show up. And that is something that you never want to take as an assumption. Because when I write copy and when I run traffic, I want to assume that my audience does not like my event at all. And I need to make sure that I can sell it to them. And that's why most speakers, they don't really run traffic for their own events, because when you're a speaker and when you're a coach, right, when you're like so passionate about a topic, sometimes it may be easy to assume that most people are like you and just as passionate. But when you look at it from a neutral standpoint, right, you're going to assume that your audience are not interested. So when I craft this copy, I'm not writing this to a person who already believes in social media marketing. I'm not even writing this to appeal to a person who is kind of half sold on it because their mom said it's good. I'm writing this to a person who has been cheated before, don't know what's going on, hates social media marketing, thinks that the whole tech thing is a scam. I'm crafting my copy to appeal to a person like that. And that is why when anybody else of a higher level of interest sees it, they'll be enticed.
Okay, I want to bring your attention to each point that he's making. For example, okay, just stop there first. Okay, you see this, how to get past the age barrier and limiting belief. Why do you think he wrote this copy? Why do you think he wrote this point? To answer what objection? The objection about the age, the objection about, oh, I'm too old for Facebook marketing, right? Everyone's thinking, hey, oh, Facebook marketing, this kind of 20-year-old very good one, yeah, I'm 40-year-old, 50-year-old, how good, right? So this objection, every reason why he writes his copy is to sell something is to answer an objection. Okay. Now, why do you think he wrote this one? If you do not have an existing business, do not worry, as we will be giving you a ton of proven business models. Why do you think he wrote that? To appeal to who? To the people who don't have a business, right? So he's already answering all these conjectures and already selling the people even before they attend the event itself. Even like, look at this. Of slogging for an hourly rate. Who is he trying to appeal to? Sorry? To what? Employees, right? Employees are being paid an hourly rate. So whenever you craft your copy, right? Whenever you sell, when you do platform closing, it's very different from one-to-one sales. One-to-one sales is easy. But platform closing, right, is you need to address every single one in the room, as many as you can, so that when you make the offer, people buy. You get what I mean? Or you need to address as many people who see this landing page such that as many people sign up as possible. And everything is done. So everything must look at the genius behind something. Does it make sense? To see something is something, but to see the genius behind it, that's the next level of marketing. Okay? Yeah.
So like when you mentioned you craft your sales copy with your audience in mind, is it you craft it by creating sort of a FAQ? Like the frequently asked questions that your consumers have, then you craft your sales copy from
Correct.
that kind of
Correct. So I go from the mind of consumer, meaning somebody who wants, because people attend this event are people who want to learn about Facebook marketing. So their level of knowledge about Facebook marketing may not be as high, but what they always have is some commonly known needs. For example, like you are too old to do Facebook marketing or whatever other needs. So I go around by answering those questions, and those questions become my copy. So what I put here, right, is to actually answer those questions. So I'm not asking myself, how can I describe the event to my audience? Because that would be boring. I'm asking myself, how can I remove those barriers so that my audience will want to go for this free event that they could be interested in, but there's certain things stopping them from getting there. So that's how I do it. And at the the last portion, right, you can see that I give them a very clear visualization of what they will expect after the end of 3 hours. So if you have no job, if you have no business, you will have a high income skill. If you have a business, you have complete clarity on how you can take your business to the next level within the next 30 days. And who is this free training for? 2 groups of people. So you can see I repeat this again. So one thing I always do is that once I know that certain things appeal to my target market, you want to constantly remind them. You don't want to assume that, oh, because I already said this in the ad copy, in a Facebook ad, I don't have to say this again. You can remember that you want to constantly remind your audience because you don't want to take it for granted. If they know it, that is, they know it. But I'm just trying to remind them as though they are super forgetful. I just keep reminding. So, and okay, one additional thing that I do is that I add in this. So this is how I address the elephant in the room. So this may or may not be suitable for everybody, but for me, I make it very straightforward that at the end of the session, the trainer will be making an advance offer for those people who fit the criteria that we are looking for. There's no obligation for you to take part or for us to take you in if you do not fit. So what this does, right, is that, at least for me, it addresses the elephant in the room and it brings away that pressure. Because most people, when they attend a preview, there's a lot of pressure. Like, I'm trying to go there and trying to sell me, and if you don't sell, it's not worth your time. If I don't buy, I feel very pressurized. But we are making it very clear. We're going to speak, we're going to make an offering. If you are right fit, we will offer for you to join. You don't have to join, but you could join. But again, if you're not right fit, we're not going to be obliged to take you in. So that removes the pressure, and they're just focused that, okay, this is an event, I'm going to go, and this is what's going to happen. Because one thing I've learned is that if you don't tell it to your audience specifically, they're going to assume the worst. So just tell them what it is. Because if you don't tell them this, right, they'll assume like even more things. They'll assume that once you go there, you're going to like sit them down, you're going to allow them to leave, you're going to try and sell them, which is what we don't want. So we'll address this. And then, okay, this last thing is what I would always do because I want to build in value for the audience. So what I always say is that we put in a lot of resources to make this free masterclass happen. Our requirement is for each attendee to be early. And what happens with this is that you want to make the audience treasure it more. Because the truth is when something is free, right, people don't take it seriously. And that's not their fault, it's just how we're programmed. I can tell you the same thing for like $0 versus I tell you the same thing, but I charge you $1,000. You would suddenly feel that the same thing is very valuable because I paid for it. So over here, I'm not taking any money from them, but I want to make this clear to them that, you know, this is the free masterclass, the slots are limited, and if you cannot be there, you can let us know. And when I put this, right, it's quite interesting. On an average per event, I will have about like 2 to 5 emails of people emailing me, telling me something like, hey, sorry, I got work, I can't make it. So basically, they are informing me, because over here I put it clearly that if you don't come and you don't inform us, I will blacklist you from future events. So when you do something like this, right, it builds in a value. And that's just what I do. Not everyone wants to do that because it's a little bit aggressive, but to me that's just what I do, because when I do that, right, I feel that it puts the audience in more perspective. Versus, oh, this is free, just come anytime you want to come, we're always here for you. It's not the case. This is free, we put resource into it, and your job is to commit to these different terms. And if you can't commit to these different terms, that is fine, it's not a fit. But if you say you're going to commit to these different terms, make your best effort to commit. And even after all this, are there some few people who sign up, go through all these things, they still just don't come? There will be. But what happens is, that's the best we can do. There will always be people who don't come, or there will always be things that just crop up last minute. But this is as far as they can go. And once they press on that select date, right? So let me just try. Okay, so these are the next two events that is coming up with Alaric. So 26 March is already sold out. We've got 80 people. 28 March is still available. So they will click on this. And bear in mind that this is usually on their phone. So they're on their phone. They will click on this and they will go register. So again, free ticket, limited. So you can remind them as limited, right? Just put it there. And check out. So one thing I want to bring up is that you may think that the past 3 seconds where I press here, I press free ticket, I sign up, you may take it for granted. But when you do this process, the past 3 seconds I just did, versus a landing page, I can tell you that inherently, right, unless your landing page is good, this will have a higher conversion because it's trustworthy. Why is it trustworthy? It is Eventbrite. The format and everything, because there's a lot of things that we take for granted, right? For Eventbrite, they are an event platform. What that means is that they have spent resources to build this thing like that. Meaning when I click, right, why is this thing like that? Why is this green? Why is this register button here? After I click, it pops like that. Why is it like that? Why is there a drop-down box? Then why is this thing in green? I press, then why is the framing like that? Like why is the value here? Why isn't it in between? Why isn't it below? Why the moment I click I can see this thing? Why isn't this like all the way below? So all these things, right, Eventbrite have already thought it through. However, when you create your own landing page, now you can think that through yourself. And that's what I would suggest for beginners or even for advanced marketers, right? Unless you have to, try not to create like a separate event page, unless you really want to. Otherwise, you just got to consider all these things that you could do that yourself. When over here, Eventbrite has already done it for you. And why over here, why do they put this? Because they know that on the checkout page, there are certain things that you need to put in place to remind the audience that you're credible and it's worth it. So over here, you can see that Eventbrite has put in this thing again to remind the audience that this is what you're signing up for. So all this psychology of having an online attention to sign up for an event has already been thought through. So I just leverage on it. I don't think about, oh, can I create a new landing page and all that kind of things. And over here is auto-populated because I've signed up before. I just gotta put in my work phone, and once I put this in, right, so let's put in on. Usually people will put in a real number, and once they press process, it processes, and then Eventbrite sends them a particular email. So again, you see, why does Eventbrite have this? Because they know this works. You may think who the hell will share, but some people will. And of 100 people, I can tell you that the traffic I get on Facebook versus my event sign up is always different. For example, right now for the event that I have 80 people sign up, I only have about 50 purchases on Facebook ad. Where did the remaining 30 come from? I'm not sure, but possibly from like things like that. Because people share and they're like, hey, I'm going for this free preview, it's pretty good. Do you want to go? So again, just leverage on Eventbrite. And there's this. And once they've submitted this whole thing, that's where they would come over here. Okay, this is optional. This is a little bit more advanced, but if it's the first time you're looking at this, just understand the concept. I'm sure the technical portions we can iron that out. But does anybody know who, like, this is Zapier. Anybody use Zapier before? Okay, so Zapier is basically an automation software, but to simplify it, once somebody submits information, from here to then showing up at an event, meaning from an Eventbrite registration to a human showing up at the event is a far cry. Most people think that, oh, because I have 80 signups, 80 humans will show up. It's not, it's like a far cry. You need to have a process to get them to show up. Once they sign up over here, the first thing that happens is that they will go into my Google Sheets. They will go into my Google Sheets. So it looks something like that. So again, don't focus on the details, just to get the concept. It looks something like that. You will go into my Google Sheets, and more importantly, I have 3 automated SMS to remind them to show up. So what happens with the automated SMS is that once they have clicked on the Eventbrite sign up link, this SMS goes out to them. So, hey Samuel, which because it's me signing up, your slot is confirmed, and these are the different information. Over here is event details. See you soon. And this particular SMS would go out immediately. Alright, so this is the first SMS. This goes out immediately. And this is the second one. So the second one is something like this. Hey, it's exactly 48 hours, meaning they can sign up like on this date, but then they forget about it. But 48 hours before, they will receive this. And this would go out. Over here, I put the date to this particular timing. So it will go out on this date, which is 2 days before that event. So this goes out. And the last SMS goes out on the actual day of the event. So our trainer today is Alaric. This is the event, and for venue assistant, contact Faye, because in this case, Faye is the event organizer. So this goes out on the final day. And yeah, this is 12 March, which is the event day, but 6 hours before, or like 7 hours before the event. So even with this system, right, the show up ratio is a little bit like, if you have 100 people who come into here, you can expect about maybe with this, about 30 to 40% to show up, and that's pretty healthy. If you have anything above 40%, it's good. If it's below 30%, it's not so good. So you can have all these different follow-up. And the 2 more things that you can do is that, which is what I'm trying to do, because now my biggest issue is that from here to a human showing up, how can I bridge the gap? Because just because I give you a commitment here does not mean I will show up. And most marketers or most people in general, they take it too lightly. They feel as though, oh, if you are interested, you will show up, which is not the case. If you are interested, it is my job as a marketer to make it as compelling, as convenient for you to show up. So I'm adding in the WhatsApp reminders, meaning on top of these 3 different SMSs, there will be WhatsApp reminders to remind them and basically to get them to show up. And I'm also experimenting with calling to actually remind them. So calling is double-edged because calling sometimes is a little bit intrusive, but it depends on your style. For me, I would like to engage my audience a little bit more. So some people ask me, if you do so many things, right, will the audience get a little bit irritated? They might, but to me it's more towards I want to remind them to actually show up. And to me, if you're interested, you wouldn't get irritated. If you get irritated, probably it's not that good a feed. So we will do this, and 3 SMSs. So far what has worked the best is 3 SMSs and 1 WhatsApp message to get people to show up. And on the event day, once they show up, it's to the speaker to speak, or whoever it is, like Alaric or whoever else.
Do take note that the Eventbrite sends them an automated email also. So right after they register, they get an automated email 2 days before the event. Eventbrite also sends them an email.
Eventbrite sends them an email, but what I've realized for email is that usually I do SMSs, because even for SMS, the ratio is not that good. Email to me is very low, because most people they don't check it. It's like they just check it one side. So Eventbrite sends SMS, but I remind them as well. And this is my my backend basically. So a typical event is something like that. So you can see over here there's quite a few nodes, and those are managed by my event organizer, which in this case is Faye. So Faye will manage all these different things, and once the event is over, we will update this information onto this spreadsheet so we can see who has engaged and who has not engaged. So what that means is that after the event, I would know that of these people, there are a certain percentage who have bought it, but there's a good percentage who haven't bought it. So with these people, right, we could either follow up, or we could invite them for future events, or whatever it is, because we've got this data. And once this thing is in place, right, in fact, this thing is something that anybody can have it by yourself. Maybe you don't have to have so many different tabs, but just create a simple spreadsheet. Because once you have generated this traffic, it becomes very, very useful for you to leverage. And one good example is that you can see that I collect all these email addresses, although I don't believe in sending emails. But the reason why I collect all these email addresses, like right now as I speak, I probably have about, give or take about 500 to 600 email addresses. This information becomes extremely valuable when I do lookalike audiences. And lookalike audiences basically means that now if I have a new event for Facebook marketing, I go to Facebook. Instead of telling Facebook, hey, I want to advertise to people who are interested in Facebook marketing, which may or may not work, I tell Facebook, I want to advertise this event, and I will give you 500 email addresses. I want you to find people like these people. And Facebook will do the algorithm next or whatever, and they'll go and find people like that. So this is very useful for lookalike audience. So always collect an email address, because one day you will have to do lookalike audience. it's a function within Facebook. And lookalike audience is one of the best way to scale a campaign. So once this is done, let me just jump right back to the slides. So this is just what I've spoke to you guys with. 1 email from Eventbrite, 3 automated SMS, immediate, 48, and 6 hours before the event. So this number, right, 48 hours I've realized is a pretty sweet spot. I tried 24 hours because I thought that if it's 24 hours, it's nearer. But the issue with 24 hours is that when you remind somebody 24 hours beforehand, because the whole process of a lead signing up is like that. They sign up, they don't put it on their calendar. When I sign up for an event, I always put it on my calendar. But most people, they sign up, they don't put it on their calendar. They forget about it. And when you text them 24 hours before, they have plans made already, so they can't change the plans. So I'll suggest 48 hours or even 72 hours. Remind them before they have plans made already, because if it's 24 hours out, some people, they got plans made and they really cannot cancel it, so they can't make it for the event. So if you do all these different things, the show up ratio should be about 33%, or anything with above 40% is good. And okay, with the show up ratio, some people will think, why not try to get it to like 100%, which is possible. But again, it's always the net effect. Meaning, if it's 40% to me, that is good enough. Am I going to get it to like 60%? Maybe I can call them more, I can talk to them more. But to me, I'd rather spend that resource to get more leads, to put through the same funnel to get 40%, versus trying to convert more people on the phone. So what that means is, as long as it's 40%, I'll just scale the campaign endlessly. Meaning, if I have 100 people and my ratio is 40%, 40 will show up. If I want 50 people to show up, I'm not going to spend my time thinking how to get more people to show up. I'm going to spend my time bringing more leads, so that at 40%, 50 will show up. But that's just what I do, because that's my strength. However, if your strength is more towards the following up portion, then you can do that. So the important thing is that you can play to your strength, and you can see what are you good at. But this is how I do it, and this is just a slide this is essentially a compilation of whatever I've just mentioned, in case you want to take the notes down. So this is basically what I just mentioned. So I would always never describe an event, always begin from an outcome and address the elephant in the room. So, and this is what I always say, and for me this has worked really well. And to be honest, I've went around, because I do research, I look at different events, and I've seen quite a few events adopting this. They didn't used to say this, but now they're always putting this. So this is not a preview, it is an actual training loaded with proven strategy that can implement during the session itself without paying a single cent. So when you say that, it removes the risk that the audience think they're taking. Because in this era, when the audience goes to, like, especially cold audience, because again, all this is cold traffic. So when it comes to cold traffic, I'm expecting them to be as skeptical as possible. So I'll always put this, and for me, I go one more step. I will put this disclaimer that we will be offering something at the end, but we will not force you to take part. So that's what I will do. And okay, this last thing is a little bit more behind the scenes. But when it comes to costing, right, for events marketing, it has to go to a certain scale before it works. And this is what actually I spoke to Alaric a little bit about. Because if you, let's say you spend $100, you buy like maybe 10 leads, and then 3 show up, and then it doesn't work because the event wasn't converting as well. So that's a little more difficult. So what I advise from my experience is that I would advise spending at least $500, just from my experience, per event. So $500, if you do everything correctly with the steps that I've shown you, possibly you can get maybe 20 show-ups. And with 20 show-ups, given to a speaker, there'll be some conversions. And per event, you should be aiming to make back at least 1K commission. So it's like a one-to-one thing. So basically, I put in $500. After all these different things involved, at the end of the day, I should get back $1,000. So my net profit is $500. But I can't really think of it as if I put in $100, I want to get back $100 if I can put in more. It doesn't really work, because from my experience, it can go to at least 20 show-ups to really be more consistent. That said, one of the strategies is that, because when I started this, I'm not depending on this for my main income, because I already got a business that's working, and I'm okay with that. So when I came to this model, right, within the first 3 events I did, I made like 8K commission, but my spending on ads was easily half of that. That means at one point I was putting in 4K without even knowing if this thing is going to work or not. Although I know it will work, but you know there's a risk there. But if you want to begin on a smaller budget, what you can do is this. You can use the method, you can generate the traffic, but if you look at my process, right, there's very little human intervention. So when there's the lesser human intervention there is, the higher the costing, because I'm expecting the machine to work. However, if you want to begin from, like, let's say $200 per event, what you can do is the same thing, put in a Google Sheets, but instead of like automated reminder, instead of like just massive lead generation, pick up the phone and call a lead. So your approach wouldn't be like mine. Your approach would be you generate a lead, and then you call them and say, hey, I saw that you sign up. I just want to check in with you. Why do you want to attend this event? And you build rapport with them, so you get more show up. That means when you're operating at a smaller scale, you're not aiming for like 40% show up. I'm aiming for 40% because this is my model. You could be aiming for like 50% show up, or even like 60% show up. So you get 10 leads, you call them, you build rapport, you get 6 to show up, and if some of those 6 buy, right, then you can get ROI from there.
Yeah, for example, Jerlene's show up rate is very high because she personally, like, she write their name and then say, hey, thanks for signing up and everything. And even if they don't come for the Facebook marketing workshop, maybe they'll come for a sales workshop, or maybe they'll come for a health workshop, or they come for any other preview because she builds the relationship. So actually, Samuel is getting these results because he's playing at this scale. But if you are playing at a lesser scale, right, you can have a lot more personal, and that will increase your results as well.
Right. So you gotta play to your strength. When I came to this, right, I was very clear that I'm not going to compete with somebody who has a professional landing page. So in this case, right, if you want to compete with me, for example, on this, how you should be thinking is that number one, you can compare on this same model on cold lead generation, or you can do something that is my severe weakness, which is like human follow-up. You call the leads, you build rapport and get them short. That's something that's not in my model because I don't want that to be my model. As I scale it, I want it to be this. If I can get 40% short, I'm more than happy. I'm not interested to bring that up any higher because I can pump more traffic. However, if you compete on that uneven playing field, you will stand a much higher chance. So if your model is whereby you have a very strong converted factor, you may not have as much leads, but you can get 10 leads and get like 6 or even 7 or even 8 to show up, then that would be your strength. So you can begin from there and actually build it up. And I truly believe that Facebook ads is the way to go because it's much more scalable. Once you can put in $1 and get back $2, which I would gauge as the minimum return to a certain scale, then you can just scale it. Just put in more money and then you get more money out. So this is the process. Before I move on to the last portion, actually there's just discussion time. Any questions that you guys have, or anything that you want to discuss? Any questions first on the model so far?
Okay, just now the link, right? You put FB Marketing Masterclass.
Yeah.
.com, right?
Which one?
Okay, you go back to your ad.
Oh yeah.
Even though you don't own that domain, right? There's no such like FB
Marketing
Masterclass.com. There's no such domain, right? But
this builds credibility. Most people, when they don't fill in this right, okay, number one, I don't own this domain. Number two, this is not a domain they can click. Because when you click right, this entire real estate goes to a landing page. Doesn't matter where you click. So there's no way you can know this link, even if it's a real, even it is a real link. I can put like whatever company name here, the real one, nobody go there. So the reason why I put this is because it adds credibility. So if this is like something like some weird link or some weird ass link, or even for Eventbrite, it doesn't add credibility. I don't want to be like Eventbrite. I don't like that. I want this to be congruent with my offer. So this is basically called a display URL, and you can just display whatever you want.
A link like that doesn't exist at all.
Yeah. A link like that doesn't exist at all. But they're just that. Anyway, yeah, because it's a display link. So even if it exists, they're going to go to the actual link that I put in, not this link anyway. Even if it's a real link. And by the way, I'm not really so much on the website, so I don't really create a website. But this is the process. And yeah, any other questions? Is anybody already running ads to get leads to show up at the event? Just a show of hands.
I've done it.
Done it.
But you're doing it now.
Oh yeah, actually I'm doing one for him as well. But anybody else that's doing it? Oh, run. Okay, how has it been? Do you have any questions? Is what you're doing similar to what I'm doing or slightly different?
No, not me. I'm your.
Well, actually, I tried just once, but what caught my attention is you use the word Facebook.
Yeah.
And my ad was being rejected because I used the same word Facebook.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
how did it work then?
Right. So Facebook is an asshole sometimes, so they will disapprove your ad. Like I've spent like a lot of money with them, but they will still disapprove it. And the reason for that is because how Facebook thinks of it is that to Facebook, right, my main priority is my consumer. Meaning if I can piss the business off, I don't really care because it will come back because here's where the attention is. However, if I piss my consumer off, I got no more game because like there's nothing to advertise. So why ads get disapproved? It's a bit tricky, but it's not about Facebook. It must be some other words. For this kind of ads, right, you cannot put any income claims. Usually it's not about Facebook. Because
So it says very clearly don't allow the use of the Facebook or Instagram brand.
oh, okay. They put that as it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fine.
because I appealed, so they came back with more details
okay.
for me to understand why.
It's on the same ad, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes it's a bit of a technical issue because I've tried before when I run an ad because how Facebook works is that by default it's all approved. But once they flag you out, it will be more tough on you because now I know you are the one who is not obedient. So what happens is when it runs, right, because there's like a million Facebook ads running, how do I know who is not obedient? But the more I find you, I'm going to zoom in on you. So what I can do is create a new campaign. Create a brand new campaign so they can't track as easily. There's no like evidence to prove this, but I tried before. Just create a new campaign and move towards a little bit.
Okay, on top of that, Facebook, right, everyone write this down, it's a manual process. Means it's a human being seeing your ad. Okay? So I have the exact same copy, right? Today I launch, cannot. Tonight I launch, right, can. Because the guy pangkang already, he finished his work already. So next guy is next guy more lenient. Okay, it's a manual process.
Right.
So it's a manual process. Sometimes there are algorithms to track a little bit, but largely it's a manual process with regards to what's reviewed and what's not. I put the exact same ad, exact same image, and like now it's not approved. Tomorrow it gets approved. Yeah.
Sorry, Alaric, this is pertaining to the next week Friday event, right?
Correct.
Are we saying that we don't even use the same title?
No, it means you can change a new campaign, or you can just change the word lah. Change Facebook to FBO, you know. Yeah.
It's not on Facebook because I got a lot of ads. But just to give some perspective, my ads, right, about 1/3 of the time they're disapproved across this business, and this one's the most lah. Like when I run those Facebook ads, it's more sensitive because basically they're the boss, and if they don't like it, and by the way, Facebook's when they come back with you, right, the reply is not very specific one. Even it is right, it's not specific because they will say it's their problem, but I fix that it's some other problem because they have this process which is. So the best way I've realized is that you try to remove certain things or you create a new campaign and try to get it through, but the ad is not live, right? Others can take a look and is it live? It's not live.
No, it wasn't approved.
It's not approved.
But it's not over Facebook because I've tried Facebook a few times. I got a strong feeling it's some income claims or something claims that you might put inside. Or you use the word you too much. Facebook doesn't like us to use the word you too much. It's quite stupid, but I try to.
There are a lot of policies, yeah.
Correct.
Like you cannot talk about diabetes upfront. You must say, you know, a lot of things.
On Facebook, yeah, it will be because it's their platform, and they're just some of them are just assholes. Like you just don't approve it, and then you can start, you can move on, and then you know. So that's one. But another thing is once your ad is running, like for example mine is running right, I'm not going to edit it. If I want to create a new one, I'm going to duplicate the campaign because I'm not going to reach the existing ad. Meaning because sometimes certain ads who are not so obedient will get through because they missed it. Just keep running it. Don't go and edit it. The moment you edit, the moment they flag you out, they will keep targeting you. And I've tried a lot of times basically how it works is that the moment they flag you out, right, they will keep targeting you and they make it very difficult. But if they don't flag you out, then it's okay. So sometimes it's just the approval is one thing, but the other thing is a technical thing. So once you get caught, you'll try like wiggle around and maybe create. What I do is I create a new campaign because I have campaigns before where they block this ad account running, but the other ad account can run because it's a new ad account. Because Facebook does not do manual check for every single one. Only those who are flagged out, they will go and check you and they make it very difficult for you.
I've got ads that run for 2 weeks, right? And then suddenly they say your ad that has been running is now not approved. Yeah. Right. So like I've been running for 2 weeks, and then they
so you can either duplicate or one way is that you create from scratch, so they can't really track. Because to Facebook, I don't know, you create a new one from scratch, I don't know. But if you duplicate, I can track it. You duplicate. So that's the one. And
quick tip: somehow I realized in Singapore, at night, right, the approval process is a lot smoother compared to in the afternoon. Yeah. Maybe because they're sleepy or you know, but somehow I get my ads approved a lot better at night. Okay. So let's give Samuel a round of applause. All right. So how many people got some value from today? Yeah. Great. So so later I'll ask Samuel. Maybe we can give a bit of testimonials to Samuel, right? In fact, a lot of you who came from my Facebook marketing masterclass was through Samuel coming. All right. Through Samuel's ads.
How many of you saw my ad and then you went?
Okay, how many of you saw Samuel's ads and then came from my Facebook marketing masterclass? Raise your hand.
Okay.
One. Yeah, actually about half the room I would say. About half the room over here are from Samuel's ads. Yeah, because I've been working very, very closely with him, and he's just one of my event organizers. So we work with a few event organizers, and I remember I first met. Okay, how Samuel got to know me was also through my Facebook ad. Okay, so last time I was doing a sales workshop. And then that was back in 2017 about October like that. Okay, so I was doing a sales workshop, not a Facebook ads workshop, but a sales workshop. And then Samuel signed up for my sales workshop. And then after we started talking, and then he said, "Hey, are you good at generating leads?" So I said, "Yeah." Then I said, "Would you like to go for coaching and everything?" So I think I was in Philippines at that point of time, so we did a Skype call. I think it was like a 1 hour, $250 Skype call. Last time I still do one-on-one. Now I don't do one-on-one anymore. So I think I'm very, very proud of how much Samuel has grown. I mean, since 1.5 years. I mean, he has gone for a lot more other mentors and gurus like Peng Jun and all the other Frank Kern, all the other digital marketing mentors. But I'm very, very proud of how much he has grown. And the reason why I always host these coaching sessions and I ask students to conduct the coaching sessions instead is because I want to bring up more coaches. I don't want Alaric to always be the face of the brand. I don't want Alaric always to be the star. Right? I want to bring up more stars, And so if anyone wants to do a coaching session, right, just let me know. You want to volunteer to do a coaching session, just let me know, right? And I can organize a coaching session like that for you, okay? So like for example, like Cindy just conducted her meditation coaching session, right, yesterday, right? Let's give Cindy a round of applause, right? And I think she enjoyed herself a bit. And then the next one will be done by Raghu. Let's give Raghu a round of applause. Yeah. So Raghu's coaching session will be on 25th March, which is Monday, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. I send you all the venue, okay? So yeah, I think that's about it for this part. And